This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Another interesting question here that has been discussed a lot on Bruce's show. Bad Money Slim brings us. Can you give us one smelly wrestler and a quick story about them, and about every other response to that tweet is, and why is it Vader? For whatever reason, Bruce has given Vader a reputation for not being the most hygienic. Is there another name, or was Vader where you were going as well?
Well, he kind of stands out a little bit. Leon was a big man, you know, he sweat a lot, and that's coming from me, who's the consummate sweater. I was a huge sweater back in the day. That was both a blessing because it made you feel good to get that deep sweat, but it was, if you didn't take care of it and not subject other people to it, it was a magic could put some heat on you. Leon's, more so than Leon stinking, I think his gear was what stunk.
Right.
And it would get to the point of, because, you know, in those days, you either had to have a bunch of trunks if you're going to go out on a 10-day run, or you had to wash them out in the sink when you got back, which is what 99% of the guys did. They would get back to their hotel, unpack their bag, wash out their trunks in the sink, hang them up, let them dry overnight. That way you could, keep them clean from day to day. But it took a little doing. Leon was probably the top. I could see him coming in the room, slinging his bag over in the corner, having a couple beverages, something to eat, going to sleep, waking up the next day when it was probably time to go to work, and maybe putting a fresh towel in there, and the gear had not budged overnight, and that didn't take long to compound. Just guessing.
I don't think a lot of guys really think about how challenging it is to keep your gear clean like that, because let's run through just the timeline. You finish your match at the building, say, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You try to take a shower, throw on some new clothes, throw all your gear in a bag, start driving. You go 300 miles, check into a hotel in the middle of the night, probably 3 a.m. or something silly like that. And then at that point, you're supposed to wash your gear. It's not like there's a laundry service available, because you got to be at the building the next day at 1 o'clock. So you've got like 10 hours to get some sleep, get something to eat, hopefully get to the gym. And somewhere in there, you've got to have clean gear by the next day. So the idea is, when you get to the hotel, you just rinse your gear out in the sink and then hang it over the shower. And that's all we got until we get home, right?
Pretty much. And you just have to be thorough with it. I mean, it absolutely works. There were, in the business that has passed, business of 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there were just certain things, that were locker room etiquette. You didn't have smelly gear. You didn't have a smelly body. You brushed your teeth before a match and pretty close to match time, or at least before you started warming up for your match. That was just for guys that like to eat onions and garlic, and I was one of those guys, I would imagine that would be a little bit testy on your opponent. And that's the wrong kind of heat, obviously. We all aspire to get heat in a match. That's the basics of what we do. You get mad at the bad guy so that the good guy can win and you feel good about it. Or vice versa if you're a fan of the bad guys. But your opponent having just reeking breath is probably not the kind of heat you're looking for. But yes, that was exactly it. You come back, no matter what time you got in, you unpacked your bag, because going back to being sweaters, if you're a sweater, your tights would be absolutely soaked after a 20, 30-minute match. And, I would always just wrap it up in the towel after I got done showering, wrap your stuff up in the damp towel, throw it in your bag so at least it didn't bleed into your bag itself. It bled into the towel, and you would get back to the room, and first thing you would do, no matter what time, was wash your gear out and hang it up. And hopefully by the time you woke up in 4, 5, 6 hours from then, you would, it would be hanging there and partially dry, hopefully mostly dry. And then that was just a day-to-day occurrence. It was just being respectful of your opponent, being respectful of your work area and yourself.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money, it's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.